Hello, everybody. What's occurring, everybody? How are we doing? Everybody all right? Feeling good? Feeling happy? Feeling healthy? I didn't mean to jump scare you guys. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to jump scare anybody. All right, we'll give it a couple of minutes here. We usually find that people join these things 10, 15 minutes late. So how everybody feeling today? Everybody all right? Feeling good? Feeling healthy? How do you use dating? How do you use spreadsheets for your dating life? You talked about it 2 days ago. Yeah, I mean, you just basically create like a spreadsheet for all of the like matches I would get on like dating apps, and then you can like it's like a sales pipeline. You know, you've got like match, then you've got initial message, then you've got phone call, then you've got date, and you know you can sort of see people moving through that pipeline. And at every stage you're qualifying them, and there's different questions that you ask at different stages to determine whether or not you think they're a potential partner. That's literally how I found my girlfriend. It worked, so love SOP. What's your conversion rate? Well, the problem with dating is you can get a little skewed where you don't want your key performance indicators to be anything but finding the one. Otherwise, you've basically systemized lust, and that's not a very productive thing to do, in my opinion. So again, that's up for you guys to decide what is right and what is wrong here. Yeah. Just wonder if I can. How do we craft Riz stimuli? Honestly, man, like from a dating perspective, the thing that worked the best from like a dating app perspective was just putting in my profile that I'm looking for a wife and didn't want any short-term shit nonsense. So I would message everyone at the beginning that I matched with being like, hey, I want a long-term partner. I have no interest in fucking around. And I literally, like, the first message was I'd just be like exactly what I wanted. Like I want a wife, I want a traditional relationship, I want lots of kids, I want someone who has these values, and if that's not you, then please don't reply. And also, I spend no time on these apps, so send me your number and I'll call you. And if they were like, I'm not giving you my number, I don't know you, then I'd just be like, well, you're not my wife. And then eventually, after sending that message to probably 1,000 or 2,000 matches, we got the one. So yeah, probably more than that, actually. It's scary doing it through an app. The only reason I use dating apps is because they're the most like efficient way to do it. Like, it's like if you're not using apps, then you've got to like socialize and go out, and that's fine, and that's normal and healthy. But you've got to realize that, like, for me, the dating thing was as simple as like knowing exactly what I wanted and what my non-negotiables were, and then just looking for that. Talking about dating. Do you think dating is a distraction? No, not really, man. Like, dating isn't that much. Like, in my opinion, like dating is a distraction, and sleeping around and being lustful and being a fuckboy, well, that's distracting. But trying to seek and form a meaningful, deep, loving connection with your potential future mother of your children is pretty worthwhile, in my opinion. But I didn't worry about that until I was like 26. So I wasn't bothered at all by by dating or by marriage or by kids or anything. But once I got to like 26, I kind of started to become a little bit more cognizant of the fact that I wanted that. And at that point, I was like a multi-millionaire and I had so much leverage and I knew what I wanted by that point. But when I was like 18, 19, 21, like, dating was a waste of time. So let's have a look at some of these questions then, guys. We've got Alan starting saying, in hindsight, would you look at your trauma as a good thing? Do you see your bullies as friends or something? And how do you look at the people who caused you pain? Have you acted out of vengeance? Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of like a well-known fact in this space that, like, I've made it very transparent. Like, I was bullied when I was like 11 or 12. And like nowadays, I have absolutely no resentment or care in the world for the people that afflicted me. I don't think about them or worry about them. I definitely see the trauma as a good thing, but only because of the way that I dealt with it. A lot of people go through traumatic events and they either repress them or they just turn to alcohol or something. So the way that I've turned out by default makes my trauma good, if that makes sense. Because, like, you know, I feel like I wouldn't be here. Let's turn the air conditioner on. It's getting hot. So yeah, without question, like, I'm not unhappy about the fact I got bullied, and I don't ever act out of vengeance or try and seek revenge or anything, because, you know, everything that's happened to me is sort of led me to become the man that I am now, and I feel pretty whole and content with who I am, which means by default I can't point fingers at what's happened to me and say I don't like it, because that would be, you know, you might not like the event, but if you like the outcome of the event happening, then you're fine. It can't be hot in England. Trust me, it can. The office that I'm in is fucking boiling. Charlie, try and do a live stream without turning the aircon on and off 100 times. Problem with this fucking air conditioning, right? First of all, like, it's very rare to find air conditioning in London. It was one of my like non-negotiables for finding an apartment here. But I set it to like 21 degrees, and I swear the thing's like in a different, like, what do you call it, like measurement. It's freezing. It's freezing at 21. So I have to like turn it off and turn it on. I've got to like condition the air conditioning, but my Myers-Briggs type is INTJ, which leads with introverted intuition, willpower, cognitive functions. My guess is due to forms of hardship. What was the turning? Okay, so all of this is basically leading to this question. What was the turning point to achieve such convergence of willpower and discipline? Look, I think what you guys have to sort of understand about me at the moment is I run on discipline and willpower, but more than anything, I just run on habit. So I don't necessarily have to discipline myself to work anymore. And once you've worked, you know, for a really long time, for many years, you just sort of act it out. Like, I don't have to like G myself up or motivate myself, or I don't feel like I have to use willpower to work anymore. The thing that sort of, you know, made me really disciplined at the beginning of my journey when I was like 18 or 19 was I was just angry. Like, I just hated myself. I hated my job. You know, I was really motivated by negative energy for the first couple of years in business. And all of my willpower, all of my drive, all my discipline came from ruminating and letting those emotions sit. You know, I was really angry. Like, I was just really pissed off at myself. I felt like a failure. I felt like a loser. Like, I was skinny. I was like all these things, right? And so, you know, people don't want to feel those emotions. And so they bury them, or they tell themselves they love themselves. But really, that's just leverage. And that was the turning point for me to sort of unlock that fucking giga discipline. But then after like 5 to 7 years of acting that out, you just, my discipline is now in not working. And that's not even a joke. Like, I have to, for me, working is like playing a video game. And, you know, I have to learn when I need to like pull myself back from that. My agency is doing 100K a month. That's awesome, man. Congratulations, Alicia. Louis, amazed by the amount of wisdom and knowledge you have in business and psychology. Oh, dude, I appreciate that, but you'd be amazed by how little I actually know. I'm wondering where you've learned all of the principles and lessons and how I achieved such deep understanding myself. Did it come from the books or your mentor or both? Yeah, I mean, dude, like wisdom comes from experience and knowledge comes from learning, right? And those are two very different things. And I think that like the only reason that I've got a very strong understanding of psychology is because I had to spend so much time understanding I've spent so much time understanding myself. And so like one of the easiest ways to learn psychology is to learn yourself and then extrapolate and apply that to the entire cognitive sphere, right? And so, you know, what I did for a long time, and I still do lots of therapy, lots of shadow work, lots of reflection, lots of personality quizzes and stuff. And when you do that for yourself, you become really good at reading other people, because he who reads himself can read others. Because you know, if you don't understand yourself, you're not really going to understand other people. And most people don't even act out their truest desire or sense of self or anything. And so that was kind of like a really good thing, is you look internally and then you can apply that internal reflection to the external world. As to my knowledge and wisdom in business, that's just acting it out, man. That's just picking a really fucking big goal and just working on it every day. And then you'll learn things like, as you go. You'll just through practice and experience and practical application of knowledge, you'll just understand shit. So that's kind of how those things can be. I wouldn't necessarily say like, yeah, the books that I mean, look, I've read, I don't know, 500 books or something on all sorts of stuff, and they definitely help. Like there's no two ways about that. Like in terms of my verbal fluency, in terms of my ability to synthesize information, the mental models available to me, like reading a lot definitely really helped. But that was just something that I was just really lucky to have picked up at a young age, dude. I was like speed reading at like 16, 17. I was reading a lot of books at a young age. And now I don't really read so much anymore because I haven't got the brain to dedicate to it. But yeah. Yasanas, should I use instantly to send research emails on a bigger scale? Yeah, 100%, man. 100%. You can find a way to make that faster. Absolutely, man. I like this question from Ali. I saw this before the stream. This is a funny question before we answer Ali's. I literally have, I think like 7 Ralph Lauren caps. I'm not even joking. I bought one and I was like, I like this. So I just bought them in like every color. Although my girlfriend wears them all now, I just wear this one most of the time. Yeah, so on Ali's question here, is this shit pre-recorded? Lol. No, it's not, mate. On Ali's question, what video from IL Easy Grow would you call a cheater's advantage if applied correctly? And what video from IL Easy Grow that you're most proud of making and why? Whoo! I would say, fuck. Look, I mean, from a client acquisition standpoint, the most slept on video is asymmetric psychological leverage. That's definitely the most like slept on video as far as client acquisition advantage goes, because like, yeah, that one, which is in Academy in week 5, by the way, I put it in there for free. That's the source for getting clients. As for like just what video is the cheater's advantage, trial by fire. There's no two ways about that. Like I think trial by fire, like if you get that thing right, you can figure out the rest, because everything else is like you could figure out yourself if you had a strong pain tolerance and you could justify pain adequately. So yeah, honestly, trial by fire. And Clash's camp said that. So yeah. Yeah. Matt says, when you were transitioning from being the operator to being the architect of the business, what belief was the hardest to let go of? The hardest belief was the idea that thinking like people are better than, like no one can do it better than me. That was the big one. Like whether it was ops or sales or appointment setting, like worrying that people wouldn't be as good as me at doing it. And that was a stupid belief to hold. That's just that, but that's just like everyone thinks that at the beginning. So What do you think about your ghostwriter on X? A lot of people are talking about you a lot for that. I don't have a ghostwriter, man. I have a guy that takes all of my clips, my video editor, Kim. He basically, like, the way that we do X is he's my editor, right? So what he does is he takes my YouTube videos and then, like, he takes my mastermind recordings, and he's been working with me for 5 years, so he understands me. And then all he does is take statements from clips that I've verbally articulated and then write them into tweets. So it's not ghostwriting, it's my language, but just assimilated by somebody else because I haven't got the time to do it. Is it smart to put your niche in your name like Jim Launch did? Yeah, you could say it's, yeah, I suppose, but I don't think it's one of those things, man, that will move the needle in your business by like 0.0002%. I mean, the biggest company in the world is named after a fruit, and the largest search engine in the world is named after a sound that a baby would make, and the biggest e-commerce platform in the world is named after a rainforest. So names don't matter, man. Trust me. And the biggest car brand in the world is named after an inventor. So, you know, Google, Apple, Tesla, fucking Microsoft, for crying out loud. Like, you know, I miss Jerry from the last live stream. Yeah, where's Jerry at? We gotta get in there. AJ says, will you marry me, Charlie Morgan? I'll think about it, mate. I'll think about it. Depends how big the dowry is, eh? This is a good question from Martin. Charlie says work as much as possible, but I'm wondering if that's for the early stages. I don't care about financial freedom. I want location, time, and decent finances. I want to make 5K a month whilst working no more than 6 hours a day. Is it realistic to be making 5K a month whilst working 6 hours a day after a year? Would the business even survive? Yeah, it would survive, man. But you'd probably have. This is the thing. This is a really fascinating idea when it comes to people who want passive income. Is, look, if you want a business that where you work 5 hours a day and make like 5K a month, you can have that. But the thing is to build the infrastructure required, to build the brand required, the product required, to sustain those systems requires you to work really fucking hard for probably about 18 months to 2 years, maybe longer. And by the time that you come to having achieved what you wanted in the first place, your identity is completely shifted towards being really hardworking and disciplined, which then means you don't want to go and sit on the beach. That's what happens every time, man. People work really fucking hard for passive income, and then they get there and they realize they don't want passive income because to get it, they have to change into someone that couldn't have it. And then they just kind of like change it around. So. How do I speak more clearly and directly? Practice, man. Just practice. And also, like, you have to like know what you're talking about. So, like, look, for example, I can hop on these live streams and answer 100 questions live without making mistakes or umming and ahhing too much because I'm answering questions that I know how to answer. If someone was asking me about like how to do NAN automations or what I think of the blockchain, then I'd be like, fuck, I've got no idea. This water bottle, someone asked, is Fuel 24. It's on Amazon. It's like £14. It's really cool. It's like 1.4 liters or something. You buy a massive straw to sort of go in the top. Oh, we got Mr. Thomas. Thomas Woodcock. Big up. Hope you're well, man. It's good to see you here. I'm sure you're cringing at my at my setup to some degree. For those of you guys, Tom was one. Tom helped me a lot with videos in Dubai. He was responsible for tons of videos in Dubai. Okay, where are we? Should you read The Alchemy of Self document before work at the early stages of building a business? Absolutely. I'm looking to join Easy Grow soon. Should I bother watching these modules? I'm nearly at the end of week 2. Well, the second you can join Easy Grow, you should, because the sales systems in Easy Grow and the appointment booking systems in Easy Grow are far more advanced than the academy. So weeks 1 through 3, the foundations of the business, the mindset, and the client results, 100% watch those first. But as soon as you have the resources to invest in Easy Grow, you should, because they'll take you further quicker. Jack says, any advice? I'm starting my journey. I dropped out. I'm battling the starting phase and I feel time is slipping. I'm 21. Any advice? Do the course, man. Do the course. Just do the course and don't give up. Yeah. Amit here. He knows the fucking drill. He's watching enough of these live streams. Do the IA. That's pretty much all there is to it. There's a little jump scare from Amit there. Who's trying to rage bait me in the chat? It's like someone's trying to rage bait me. How can I invest in Easy Grow? I booked a call and no one showed up. I'd love to join. Well, dude, if no one showed up to the call, I need to clearly fire someone. Nicholas, I will send your inquiry to my setting team. In fact, Nicholas, if you just go in Imperium Academy and just put a post up saying, how do I join Easy Grow? And then tag me in that post, I will then make sure that you are taken care of. And I will find out who didn't turn up and then be like, why the fuck did you not turn up? Yeah, appreciate that, Tom. The setup is nice and cozy, man. It's nice and warm in here. So he's just gotten someone fired. Yeah, Nicholas, if it's a fake accusation, I'm gonna have to fire someone for no reason. That'd be bad, but no, I appreciate that, man. Just, yeah, tag me in. What's your current diet from Candice? I'm eating. Okay, so I was carnivore for 2 years. I'm now eating a little bit more of a variety. I eat fruit, meat, sometimes eggs, sweet potato, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, very like just single ingredient foods, no seed oils, no sugar, no dairy, no gluten. Yeah, pretty much just that. What's important to get clients as a beginner? Posting content, building some authority, and doing outreach. Yeah, just volume, man. Making a fuck ton of content and doing a fuck ton of outreaches. You should definitely double team one niche, Ayush. Definitely just double team one niche. This is an interesting question from Ema, although it's not really a question, it's more of a statement about B2C sales calls. Just do the calls, man. Just do the calls. There's no magical advice I can give you here. Just do the calls. Show up and work on those belief systems. You know, wire them into your mindset training, whatever you got to do, but just show up and just ask people for money, and you'll be surprised how many people actually give it to you. So Gilbert says, do you feel like you've made the content too long and that might drown out some people? And it might, okay, sorry. Do you feel like your content may be too long and that maybe drowns out some of the consumability and therefore its ability to reach people because of this day's attention span is just going down? 100%, man. Like Imperium Academy is like, it is without question, like, you know, it's a mission to work through. But the thing is that like, I'm only interested in helping people that want to be helped. And a precursor to that is people being willing to focus, being willing to do work, like, and, you know, if someone can't sit through, you know, like 80 hours of content, which is basically 2 full-time work weeks for a normal job, then, you know, fucking hell, man, they don't deserve to succeed. And so, like, you know, I've been very careful with Imperium Academy. This is also why we probably will not ever promote Imperium Academy by flexing Lamborghinis on Instagram and stuff, because it's just going to attract fucking idiots. This is an interesting question from a name that I can't pronounce, so we're going to call you Axe. So Axe says, Charlie, how do you think a man should balance being driven and still charismatic? I seem to be extremely rude and lose ability to talk to people when I go in a driven state. That's fine, man. That's normal. Just don't be a dick. You can still be respectful whilst being incredibly driven. You know, it's Ahmed. Oh, Ahmed. Okay, sorry, Ahmed. You can still be incredibly driven and still be charismatic at the same time, but this shouldn't be something that you have to balance. But also, man, just be yourself. Like, you know, don't be rude, don't be mean, don't be a dick, don't be a cunt, but just, you know, stay in your lane and try to not be really rude to people. My name is Aziz. Sorry, Aziz, got your name wrong, man. Alva's been asking the same question over and over, so we'll answer it. Which parts of the course are universal, not consultant specific? The 4.5-hour discipline felt universal. Yeah, I mean, like all of week 2, without question, is universal. Honestly, like pretty much the entire program is as universal as you could possibly get, whilst maintaining specificity where required. You know, obviously you've got like the niche selection video, the offer selection video, they're heavily consulting focused. But you know, iterative renaissance, like that thing can teach you how to fucking run ads. It can teach you how to do anything. Because that's just a scientific method. Same thing with week 3, like how to become an expert in anything. Same thing with week 4, how to sell. Like, you know, it's as broad as it needs to be, but also as specific as possible. Rafia said, is the program evergreen? And it definitely is. I'm not going to have to update that thing for a long fucking time. No worries, Alva. Mudabe, how would you design your environment to raise your standards when everyone around you has low standards and you just can't stop them entirely, like being in school or part-time? Yeah, I mean, dude, your environment doesn't need to be perfect for you to make money, but the second you make money, then you can change your environment. Like, you know, I got to 10K a month while still living at home, while still having all of my old friends who weren't doing anything. And you can do it, but it might be a little harder, but that doesn't make it impossible. So once you're making money, then obviously you change your environment. It's as simple as that. Abdallah, I see you trying to sneak in here, man. Replying to people's comments. You got to wait your turn, man. And this is also a niche-specific outreach question, man. I really don't know the answer, I'm afraid. Tiago, I mean, building an appointment setting agency for high-ticket online personal trainers. How did my first client? The problem is, 1, I don't have enough solid competition, just a few wannabes. And 2, I find it quite difficult to source trainers who are actually high-ticket, and many are low-ticket. Well, Tiago, that's a statement, and it's niche-specific, so unfortunately, I can't answer it, man. I'm really sorry. Favorite success story of any of your students? Dude, my favorite, okay, I got a load of my favorite success stories from EasyGrow clients. One of my favorite ones is from a very close friend of mine now. I won't tell you his name. We'll call him Jay, which is an abbreviation of his full name. But Jay, he likes to be private. Jay is a legend. He started EasyGrow, I think 4 years ago, and he was a video editor making $1,000 a month. And I've still got the sales call recording. And you know, he wanted to start an e-com agency, so he did. Got 10K a month with it. Cameron England as well. Yeah, Cameron's a really good case study. And but Jay now makes, I think, like 800K a month selling like really, really niche lead generation services to a very specific niche. And I play golf with him all the time. He actually stayed at mine like just last couple of weeks. And he's gone from like, he lived in South Africa, in East London in South Africa, which is supposed to be like a really rough place to live. And he went from making like nothing to now literally he lives in London up the road from me. And he's like a fucking millionaire. And that's a really good case study. Again, like we're not completely responsible for all of his success. He's, you know, I can't take all of it, but he got to 800K a month in I think like 3-4 years, with a very niche specific lead generation offer that's very high ticket. Another favorite of mine is Luke Salela. who joined us. He was already there. He was like 20, 30K a month, I think. And then like a year ago, he sold his agency for like a couple of million, which is really sick. But it's interesting because like all of the other people in this space have usually come up through Easy Grow. Luke says, what's your favorite golf club in London? I'm not going to dox myself like that, man. To come and find me on the driving range. I will tell you though that Richmond Park Golf Course leaves a lot to be desired. That thing, Luke, it's not the best. It really isn't. Where can I find interviews with case studies? Matt, I don't know if you're trying to alley-oop me here for a pitch, man, but if you are, I appreciate it. If you just go to our website and just go to results, literally just go to imperiumacquisition.com and then the results tab, and you'll see like I think we've got like 105 case studies now or something of people going from like scratch to like millionaire. So that's pretty cool. I know the owner of Richmond. Golf clubs are my niche. Ah, Luke. Luke, were you the guy that you were the guy, right, that asked me for a round of golf when you get to 10K a month or something? Don't tell him I said that Richmond isn't good. It's all right. It's just very busy, and you tend to be trailing behind people for a long time. But that's just public golf courses for you. Yeah, the Ralph Lauren caps make sense. Does that mean Brez Scales attracts idiots? Is Brez Scales, is that the guy with what does he do? Brez Scales. I've heard his name before, but I don't know what he actually does. Is he like e-com or something? I'm terrible at golf, just a good niche. You got to lie about your handicap then, Luke. You got to tell these golf owners that you're like scratch golfer. He's the young guy brand scaling. This one's from Bautista. Sick name. Is Acquisition Genesis the best thing you've done today? Yeah, I think so. Acquisition Genesis is like some of the most influential recording I've done specifically for client acquisition. From a mindset perspective, self-transcendence 2.0 like is the best, but from a acquisition perspective, man, like iterative Darwinian acquisition, Morgan systems theory, asymmetric psychological leverage, apocalyptic imperial scale, like all those videos, like they fucking took me to the darkness tonight, man. You found any students succeeding in wedding planners? I don't know, to be honest. I don't think so. What's your perspective on delaying gratification in your youth? If someone spends their 20s focused on building a business, sacrifices pleasure and exploration, is there a risk in their 40s they become resentful or end up chasing these pleasures in unhealthy ways? Or does delayed gratification simply compound into a more meaningful happy life? Oh, I don't think that it comes out in a bad way, man. I know lots of people that are like, in their 30s and 40s who are like multimillionaires, and they are incredibly disciplined because getting instant gratification, delayed gratification is just discipline. And you can either be this hedonistic freak at 20 or 40, but generally speaking, if you learn the tools to keep that shit at bay in your 20s, you're probably going to be better at keeping it at bay in your 40s. There is a chance where you don't want to repress your needs and repress these desires, because then you might just fucking go on a bender when you're like 45. But if you're cognizant and self-aware and you build a pretty fucking solid life, you're not going to run into any problems. Matthew says, how do you stop giving a fuck about your happiness, mental state, and peace? You don't, man. Why would you stop giving a fuck about that? Like, I understand that obviously to work really hard, you have to sacrifice these things, but you don't actively practice to try and stop caring about those things. You just work really hard and just put them on the back burner. It's not like a thing where you sit down and decide. You just work, man, and they'll come and go, Duran says, I just finished week 1 of your course and it changed my life. Well, let's give it 6 months and see what the effect is, man. But I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you, man. Have you read Reality Transurfing? I have, but I read it a long time ago and I can't remember much from it, to be honest. So, yeah. How do I stay consistent with habits? just have as few as possible. Like one of the easiest ways to get consistent with habits is just do as few of them as you possibly can. And also realize that you don't have to stay consistent with them once you've done them for a long enough period of time. But honestly, man, just like try and build one good habit at a time. Like just think about it like this. Like imagine you're 20 years old and imagine if you could pick up one really, really good habit and nail it every 6 months. After like 3 years, you'd have 6 habits, right? And so like people, what they try and do is they try and change their habits and they try and change the consistencies in their life in these really compressed timeframes. But if you just think a little bit longer term and you just nail one habit every 6 months and focus on one thing every 6 months, whether that's cold showers, whether it's meditation, whether it's going to bed at 10 p.m. every night, whether it's eating really clean, like by just nailing one thing at a time, it will lock in your brain and you'll act it out. And then by the time you're like 27 or 30, you're just like this fucking god of discipline with all these perfect habits. So yeah, pretty much, man. Thoughts on using the mindset lessons in another niche to help clients? Yeah, 100%, man. I would definitely do this. If you're in a niche that's receptive to mindset training and more importantly needs it, then you absolutely should do that. If you use my ideas, just credit me. Yeah. Yes, Alan, it is okay to outreach clients whilst also gathering niche research. You should do both. Arnoldus, how to execute on the offer promise, but not exactly sure how to handle it. You need to just watch week 3, man. How did you get so good with Google Sheets, and how do you trust your data is actually being book kept? Just practice, man, and by having talented people manage it. You're welcome, Paul. No worries, man. So Paul says, your posters are great, but neuroscience confirms these kind of reminders don't work. Well, honestly, man, like, look, if you're gonna, I can tell you that they do work because they worked for me and like 3,000 other people. And you shouldn't always believe what scientists say. So this is just a belief system, man. Like fundamentally, you believe that neuroscience says that you're putting this stuff on like some sort of authoritative pedestal. And it's true if you believe it's true. So you've missed the entire point of the module by just believing that neuroscience confirms it doesn't work. Like I can tell you now, man, that it works because it worked for me and it works for literally everyone that does it. Yeah, you're 16, man, so you'll learn and get the hang of it. But please don't put too much of an emphasis on this belief system here. Because the only way to get yourself to consistently behave like your future self is to tell yourself that you are doing it. And neuroscience is wrong. Not all of it, but yeah. What's Sam Ovens' schedule like these days? I'm not sure, man, to be honest. I know he gets up at like 5 a.m., but that's pretty much it. Ali says, do you have any data from easyGrow testimonials that determine differences between the guys that had outstanding results in a small time window and others? Just watch the interviews, man, and you'll see the patterns. Just focus on solving one, Sebastian. One problem first, and then the other ones. I save 500 euros to invest in my health. Should the Oura Ring be my top number 1 priority? I don't wear an Oura Ring anymore. You don't really need to, dude, money won't buy you health. Just don't eat shit food and sleep a lot and exercise. Those things are all pretty much free, except from the food thing. When will the doubt or lack of confidence end? Because I've completed week 1 and doubt and fear are sky high. It never ends, man. Doubt and fear will never go away, man. It's always going to be there by your side. Watch week 2 and you'll understand what to do with that stuff. Hey Jan, how's it going, man? If every book you've ever read was to be erased from your memory, and you could only keep 5 of them to remember to be as successful as possible, which 5 would you choose to keep in your memory and why? Bloody hell. I mean, the only book that I would like that immediately springs to mind that I would want to keep in my mind is Discourses by Epictetus. Because like if you get the Stoicism thing down, like everything's a lot easier. That's a really fucking good question though, man. Poor Charlie's Almanac, Discourses by Epictetus. It's impossible to sort of isolate beyond that, man, because there's so many good books. Letters from a Stoic by Seneca, really good. Anything by Robert Greene, any biography of any billionaire or conqueror, like yeah. I've got. If you go on YouTube and search like Charlie Morgan top 75 books, then you can check that out. Since you know many successful people, and you can spot patterns, what's one trait that you've noticed they all have in common? Stress tolerance. Successful people are very, very competent at handling stress. The more successful you become, the more people rely on you, the more things you have to do, the more stressed you become. Like it's your ability to your stress. The more successful you become, the more responsibility you take on. The more responsibility you take on, the more stress you feel. The more stress you feel, the more tolerant you become to stress. And so the thing that catches everything is stress tolerance. And you really have to nail that. So someone says that's my boy Janusek. Oh, another really good series of books is called it's a series, it's 3 books called The Mental Models, and they're red books, they're red hard-covered books, and they talk about the mental models for thinking. Really good. Really good books. Appreciate that, man. Thank you. Aurelian says, what's one limiting belief holding you back that's costing you money right now? Aurelian knows how to cook me up, doesn't he? Well, I do belief analyses on myself all the time, but I'm usually quite reluctant to share them with people because they're personal. What's a belief that's holding me back? That's a fucking good question. Probably that things have to be perfect to progress. Probably that things have to be like as good as they possibly can be instead of just being good enough. You know, like feeling like everything has to be 100% when really 80% would do. Because like when it comes to like making anything, like you can go 100% of the way there and get like, you know, 100% of the results, or you can go 80% of the way there and still get 100% of the results. And it's the additional 20% that takes just as much time to do as the last 80% you did. So probably that, honestly, probably that. What's the best way to what's the best way to beat overthinking? When you think decades before making a decision, just fucking decide. How do you overthink? How do you beat overthinking? Just stop overthinking. Like there's no magical situation here. Just fucking decide. Put your foot down and just realize that any decision is better than no decision half the time. So yeah. Whoa, Stefan, what's one shiny object you had to say no to, but wanted to do so badly that you still have doubts if it was the right decision? I don't really have any of that, man, to be honest. Maybe the AI agency game from early on, but we're working on that now. So yeah, there's not much that I feel like I've turned down that I regret. Hedda says my brain is fried from 2.1. Yeah, 2.1 is a fucking heavy module, man. I'd be really curious from you guys, just in the chat here, What do you feel like is the most important thing you've learned from self-transcendence so far? And what video is that reference to? Like, what's the thing that you feel like you've taken away the most where you're like, fuck, and it hit you like a train from week 2? Oscillatory life cycles. Haven't started week 2 yet. Still 2.2 iteration for sure. Designing life, pain is unavoidable, beliefs. Yeah, Vinay understands, trial by fire. Good. I realize how few people have actually made it to week 2 yet. Do you know, guys, what's really interesting about this is like we've had nearly 20,000 people enter the program by now, and we've only had 5,000 introduction posts, which means 25% of people didn't even make it. 75% of people don't even make it past the first action item. How fucking wild that is. 75% of people don't even make it past the first action item. I mean, geez, man. You can give people like everything they need, but the one thing you can't give them is the willingness to actually just fucking do it. You know how wild that is? So wild. Yeah, crazy, man. When you first started, did you love what you did? No, I hated every minute of it. I hated every minute of it. Outside, this is from Jemiah. Let's turn the air conditioning off, boys. It's getting too cold in here now. I wish I could find like a temperature that just it blasted out consistently, but it just doesn't seem to work, man. All right, the legs are up on the desk now. Right, where were we? So from Jemiah here, outside of what it takes to make this business work, what would you suggest people invest in? Nothing. to be honest, like the less hobbies you have, the better. The less investments you have, the better. The less like skills non-relevant to the business you have, the better. Like the only thing I would suggest you invest in is like a potentially like a really fucking good friendship of someone going through the same thing. How would you describe an amazing salesperson versus a terrible one in a few keywords? Amazing salespeople have high charisma and high conviction, and terrible salespeople have low charisma and low conviction. Given the opportunity to go back in time, is there anything you would have done differently for the growth of Imperium? Yeah, there's 100 things. 100 things. But again, vague questions get vague answers. So there we go. Nicholas here. I want to scale my coaching business from 2.5K a month to 10K a month. What do you recommend I do to get more clients? Yeah, I mean, obviously, Nicholas, the irony here is to join Easy Grow. And I think earlier you mentioned that no one showed up, which is horrifically embarrassing for me. So we'll deal with that. I run a program that helps male entrepreneurs lose fat. Price is 1K for 6 months and multiple testimonials. Yeah, I mean, dude, like organic content, 100%. Outreach, ads, no. Like you're not going to have any money to spend on ads, at least not do it properly. So LinkedIn outreach for sure, and tons of content. But we can talk about that in Easy Grow. Because I'm scaling to 10K a month, I'm pouring all my time energy into that, but I also want to learn more about history and culture. My question is, no. This is a trap, man. This whole idea of becoming wiser and more intelligent and better articulated, you will achieve all those things by just focusing on your business, man. You can realize like this is a huge paradox in business. Like when you're starting your business, you can either do self-improvement or you can do entrepreneurship. Those that try and do both end up sucking at both. Like you got to get yourself out of the self-improvement trap. You should still exercise. You should still be healthy. You should still eat clean. But the second you start trying to become a better man, you're going to divert your focus and you're going to be spending energy on stuff that you would have got through business. So if you think about it, man, by focusing on the business, You're going to learn tons of skills. You're going to become more articulate. You're going to learn to manage money. You're going to learn to become more rational. You're going to learn to become more stoic. Like all those things you want to get will come from the business. So I wouldn't necessarily start like trying to worry about reading history unless it relaxes you and it's a good downtime activity, then by all means. But I wouldn't focus on it. Everything that you want to be, you can probably get from just working harder, man. You know. Like, you know, I mean, some of you guys call me wise, but I don't think I'm wise at all. I'm not even, I wouldn't call myself intelligent, maybe articulate. I'll give you guys that. But anything that like any wisdom or knowledge or intelligence or verbal dexterity I have has just come from working for 10 years. It's not come from like, yeah, the reading and the learning and stuff, sure. But the application is the main thing. That's a big question. We haven't really got time to read that, I'm afraid, man. How do you get past gatekeepers on cold calls and actually book meetings? Go and watch my YouTube video from 2023. Type in Charlie Morgan, how to get past gatekeepers, and it will show you exactly how. I'm in Germany, and I am in between two choices. I can completely sacrifice my residence permit and go back to my country, excluding any possible. Okay. One is to keep going for English speaking people from the service, or doing things I'm not passionate about, or with people I'm not passionate about, with just to not risking my residence permit, the fact that I need to relearn or translate. I really don't understand this question, man. I'm sorry. Yeah, sorry, Tamer, man. I don't quite understand that question, my friend. I'm sorry. I used to get 8 hours of sleep, but going to bed at 1 or 3 a.m. And now I only get 6 hours of sleep every night since I started going to bed at 10 to 12. How do you optimize your sleep? Yeah, just sleep for 8 hours, man. Go to bed at the same time and then wake up 8 hours later. That's how you optimize your sleep. Well, this question from Leon, Leon looks pretty jacked. It looks, Leon, to me like you've just cooked up this proper nasty narrative in your head, man. Your identity's fucked, your worldview's fucked, your paradigm's fucked. So you need to rewire it, man. The only answer I can tell you, man, is just do the work and just do it more and do it again and again and again. The only way you're going to get out of this rut is by working your way out of it. There's no other solution. There's no magical string of words that I can put together right now for you to randomly fix this problem. Go through week 2, do the designing life module, do it for more than 2 days. And if you can't do that, then you simply don't deserve to succeed, man. And that's just the harsh truth. Like, you've got to realize, man, that like if you're not willing to do this and you can't do this, then you don't deserve to be successful. And some people have to accept that. But dude, if you can't, like, obviously you're feeling tons of resistance. Like, just live the trial by fire life. Like, watch that thing over and over and over and over again, man. And all of these are things that are coming out of just belief systems that can be rewired. I was the same. I had the same problem. But just go back through week 2, do it again. And if it fails, do it again. And eventually your brain will just be like, fuck, I should probably listen to this thing. Also look into shadow work as well. Look into shadow work on YouTube and explore shadow work and explore doing shadow work to find out why you have so much resistance towards these things. Would it be better for me to directly join Easy Grow? Like, would I get results faster? If you're the freelancer trusting, yeah, you should. Yeah, you should. When you can afford it, 100%. What's the difference between business genesis and acquisition genesis? Business genesis is the foundations of business. Acquisition genesis is the foundations of client acquisition. How do you bring a spark back? Watch week 2, man. How did you realize that you were getting too caught up in philosophical musings? Because I wasn't making any progress in my business, man. I have to make money in the next 2 weeks. I validated my problem and find the solution, but I can't waste time with trial and error, cold outreach methods. Is it better if I join Easy Grow and start implementing outreach strategies from head on to get faster results? Yes. I mean, if you can afford it and you're in a position to do so, then absolutely. But please don't put yourself in financial trouble for my sake. But yes, it will get you faster results. So this deal doesn't look very good to me. I'm helping them get to $1 million a month, and I've been promised to get rewarding accordingly to the value I can provide. So, deal Sky, I don't really have any context as to what you're actually getting paid here, but it sounds to me like you might be getting ripped off. But if it's your only source of income and you need that income, then you have no choice but to do it until you can replenish that income from the course. So if it were me, I wouldn't do it, but I'm not you, and you probably have responsibilities that require some sort of financial access. So you shouldn't do it yet, but it's up to you. How much should someone be making a month before even thinking to move out? Oh, dude, there's no binary rule for that, man. You're like my experience of moving out, dude. I was making like 7, 8K, 10K a month before I thought about moving out. And that was, that's not a binary rule where it's like, okay, as soon as you're making this much, move out. It will just you'll feel it. Like sometimes your decisions have to be based off of intuition and emotion, as opposed to anything else. You'll feel when it's the right time to move out, man. You shouldn't put a binary rule like, oh yeah, I made $6,000, goodbye. That won't work. I'm too lazy or traumatized to do cold calls. Fucking excuses, man. Get on with it. I'm too lazy or traumatized. Dude, that's just ridiculous, man. Can and should I hire commission only VAs to do? You can, but it won't work. Fucking get over it, man. And I mean that with love and I mean that with respect, but you're only going to be too lazy and too traumatized to do cold calls if you tell yourself you're too lazy and traumatized to do cold calls. Get over it. Stop being so weak-willed, man. Stop rolling over and just like admitting defeat to your own insecurities. There's no room for that, man. Otherwise, you're going to fail. Do the mindset module. Prof just cooked me. Yeah, but I'm telling you out of love, man. I'm telling you what you got to hear. Like I had this with my boxing coach. I was boxing. We were boxing. I was training yesterday. I was boxing yesterday, and I was in pain. Like this whole like boxing session was fucking brutal. And I was like, I have some like problems going on with work, and I'm under loads of stress. And I was complaining to him like, "Oh, sorry, man, I just can't train like properly today." And he sort of just like looked at me and he was like, "Charlie, fucking get over it." And then held one of the pads up for me to like continue. And I was like, "Fuck yeah, I'm over it," And after the session, he was like, "Look, man, like I'm just gonna call you out on your bullshit." He's like, "I'm never gonna do it to get an egotistical one up or to upset you or insult you, but you've just got to fucking get on with it sometimes." And I was like, "Yeah, you're fucking right. Why am I being such a fucking pussy?" So anyway, Tiham, just get over it, man. Like That's the best. Again, it's not, I'm not here to insult you or, you know, call you out or anything like that, but that sort of self-talk, man, is not going to serve you. So I will be the dick that you need me to be to get you out of that method of thinking. Just make the calls. It will suck. We just do it and do it and do it and do it and do it, and then eventually it won't suck anymore. Stop hiding behind your identity and your past. That's the decision you're making now. You know. Where does your source of information come from? Specifically, how business and science knowledge intersect? Yeah, just books, man. I've read, okay, one thing that I did when I was younger, which served me really well. I got really heavily into mental models and learning disciplines. And so one thing I did when I was younger is I bought all of the entry-level college and university textbooks on a bunch of different disciplines, like biology, chemistry, evolutionary biology, psychology, sociology, economics. And then I read them all. And so what I kind of did is I had this sort of entry-level knowledge of all the key core disciplines in basically every single field. And then you can interlace those together to I mean, dude, if you want to become like a fucking weapon of like critical thinking, like I've got a long way to go before I think I'll be a weapon, but that's really cool. Like you can pick up a textbook and understand like the core central thesis of pretty much any discipline. And, you know, if you do that for like 10 disciplines, now you're multidisciplinary and you can think about things through those lenses and make way better results. So Aswad says you do boxing, golf, and the gym. Yeah, so my 3 sort of external hobbies outside of work are I golf a lot, I play golf from time to time, I box frequently, and I go to the gym as well. And those are my 3 things. Yeah, boxing coaches are the best mentors on the planet, for sure, man. For sure, because they don't take any shit. Like, you know, you're like you're opposite someone who's just put themselves through like a decade of pain. They just won't tolerate any fucking bullshit. You know, it's fantastic. We got Charles here. Charles looking young, brother. 16 years old. Come on, my man. That's my boy. It's my namesake. Conducting niche research. How long should I be on these social media websites for 10 minutes each website or 10 minutes total? 10 minutes each website, man. Repeat the activity. And what I meant with my first question was, should I spend 10 minutes on each platform or just a range of time? Yeah, I mean, dude, there's no binary rule to it, Charles, but maybe like 30, 45 minutes a day. However long you need to do to get a couple of interviews out, man, basically. God, do I wish I had this fucking course at 16 years old, man. God, think about that shit. Like, yeah, W. Charles. Yeah, I wish I had this course at 16, man. How much faster I would have got results. Did boxing make you more confident if you had to throw hands, especially in the UK? Yeah, it's definitely. I think it's definitely made me more confident, I suppose. However, if I was ever actually in a scenario that required physical combat, I'd do everything I could to avoid it. Because you know the risks of getting into a street fight are just ridiculous. Like, I would definitely sacrifice my ego short term. Like, unless like someone I loved was in like genuine physical danger or there was no way out of the situation, I would do everything that I could to like diffuse any fight. I wouldn't pick a fight. If someone tried to start on me, I would try and disengage, you know. And if someone ever has like a knife, you just fucking run for your life, because it's just, isn't it? A lot of people, like, they learn martial arts and then they think that they're like this fucking like weapon, and then they end up getting stabbed, or they knock someone out, kill them, and go to prison. Nothing good comes from a fight, except from like, you know, defending someone that you love. Like, I honestly would rather, and I know this is, people are going to judge me for this, I honestly would rather like walk away from a fight than actually engage in a fight. Even though I might have, a year of training on someone and the chances of me winning might be higher or lower, you don't know this person. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know what training they've had. You don't know if they have any weapons on them. You don't know if they've got any medical history. You don't know that, like, if you punch them and they're going to have a stroke and then you're going to go to prison for manslaughter. This is the thing. You don't know where their family's from. You don't know if they have any gang affiliations. You don't know how drunk they are. You don't know what they're on. You don't know, like, there's a billion and one variables that nothing good comes from fighting, except from the ability to protect yourself and those that you love. So you should avoid it at all costs, but you should still know how, because sometimes it might happen. And this is the thing, is someone that knows how to fight will always see the wisdom in walking away from one, because they know just how much damage can actually be done. Dude, in the street, like, no gloves, no head guard, no mouth guard, no referee, like, fuck, man, like, you could die, or you could kill them, or worse, you start a fight with them, and then, I've got a friend who was in Amsterdam. No, it wasn't Amsterdam. He was in Belgium, in Brussels, and he got in a fight with someone outside of a club, and this guy, all of his friends came and jumped my friend, and my friend ended up having to go to hospital with like 6 broken ribs, nearly died, all because this guy was like talking to some girl that he was talking to or something. It's not careful. Do you care about the risk of brain damage caused by boxing? If I ever spar, I'll just spar with headgear. So, yeah. I'd love to answer this question, but I don't speak French. What's the best market between the French-speaking market and the US market? Definitely the English-speaking market, man. Sadly, je ne parle le français, monsieur, pardon. I don't speak French. How to manage or schedule your chaotic day? Just slow down a bit. Don't, you just keep doing what you're doing, but just 10, 12 hours a day. You'll get there, but just a little bit slower. You'll be fine. Is health easy or possible to attain, especially if you're working long hours? Honestly, man, it's easier to be healthy when you're working harder, in my opinion, because like your health becomes so much more important to you. So yeah. This is a really interesting question from Duran. What about gun training? Do you have guns, and what happens if your home gets broken into? Well, in the UK, it's illegal to have guns, so there's not much point. I always find that so wild, man, in America, that people have guns. I mean, that's such an alien idea to me, man. Take care, Matt. See you soon, man. Yeah, so basically for this question, Tam, you absolutely can take on other people if they come to you. But once you get to like 6 figures, you should not do that anymore. So the intent is to acquire a specific type of client. But if by chance another type of client comes in, you can take them if you need the money to do so. But as soon as you're at 10K a month, do not do that. Yusuf, you're overthinking this, my friend. Just do the visualization. It will not give you a false sense of achievement, man. The whole point of it is to give you a fake sense of achievement, because what starts happening is you start behaving as if you have achieved it. And then by default, you achieve it. You kind of need to, like, when you do the mindset training and you do designing life document and you look at that, what you're doing is you're imagining you've already got it. And what that does is it increases your dopamine, it increases your serotonin, which then elevates your position neurochemically, which then forces you to behave it out and act it out. That's exactly what you want. So, yeah. Yeah, I promise it'll work, man. It will work. It'll work. It'll work. I wouldn't worry about this dopamine release thing, man, because you're attaching your dopamine to the outcome of incredibly hard work. This is delayed gratification shit. We're not drinking, we're not smoking, so it's fine. How do I find a mentor when I have nothing to give in exchange? Well, you found one, man. Just do the course. From your experience, do you think a daily schedule where you work 12 hours a day for 6 days a week and work 4 hours on a Sunday is sustainable for years? Not for me. Might be for you, man. My tolerance for work is typically 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. And then sometimes I'll work half a day on Saturday. Yeah, I can't do any more than that. I otherwise I burn out. What's your process on acquiring and retaining new information? I don't really seek to actively acquire new information these days unless it's relevant to the immediate problem I'm trying to solve in my business. And as far as retention goes, I don't have any conscious strategy to retain information. The easiest way to retain information is to act on it. So, yeah, because, like you've got like students, like university students who can retain information and then they do their exam and they forget it. Like retention is only useful insofar as it's acted out. We've got a question from Jack here. Hey, I own a tech shop and sell broken chargers. How do I scale? That's a really good question, man. That's a really good question. I actually know someone once who literally went into a tech shop and someone sold him a broken charger. So yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna let you figure that one out yourself, man. But big up the broken chargers. Oh dear. I'm in the gym niche and I've been for 18 months with no success. What do you think about the gym industry? Is it shifting? Yeah, it's definitely shifting, man. But there's loads of people making good money in the gym niche, man. So that's more of a you thing than the niche thing, to be honest. No money. Do you think selling to my local niche for even less money to be able to have some kind of money than sell internationally is a good idea? Just sell internationally off the bat, man. How does one become more decisive? You just wire it into your identity, man. Yeah, there's no like framework to how to become more decisive. You just do it. It's just a decision, which is hilarious. Roshan says, for the first 2 to 3 years of your journey, should you isolate yourself from your average friends who have no interest in running a business? No, but you shouldn't, like the isolation shouldn't be, the intent behind the isolation shouldn't be to reduce your social circle. It should just be to work. So it's not pleasant, man, but I did it that way. I just sort of removed all my personal friendships for like a year and a half, 2 years. And the thing is when you're working that, like, this is the thing, man, like if you have time to be lonely, you're probably not working hard enough. Like when I think back to the first like year and a half, 2 years for me in business, I didn't have any time to feel lonely. I was working so hard and I was so obsessed with the business that I didn't have time to be sad. I like by the time that like 9 p.m. rolled around, I was so exhausted that I just immediately fell asleep. And on my days off, I was so tired and I was so exhausted that I was basically just I was just rested. I was exhausted. I had no time to feel lonely. This is also why I didn't care so much about having a girlfriend for the first like 5 years in business. It wasn't until I got to Dubai and started taking my foot off the gas stupidly, which I don't have anymore, that I started getting a bit more existential with my life. Matthew says, if you try the Gateway Experience by Monroe to change your beliefs. No, I haven't. What's the best sales apprenticeship to get skill building and earning potential? I don't really know, man. Just building a business, probably. Liam says, I'm already booking sales calls. Should I stop and start doing interview thing, or should I keep going? You should definitely still do interviews, man. It depends. Like, you're already booking sales calls, but this isn't really enough context for me to make a confident decision. If you're already at 10K a month, or you're already at like 8K a month, or you're already at 20K a month, then you don't need to do interviews. But if you're booking like 1 or 2 sales calls a week and you've only got 1 or 2 clients, then you absolutely should do the interviews. Booking sales calls doesn't give you the right to not do interviews. It just depends on the level that you're at. I would personally be doing client interviews until I signed like at least like 3 or 5 clients. So if you've done that, then you'll be fine. Can you break down the difference between client action strategies for B2B and B2C? They're not really that different, man. It's just, it's the strategies are very similar. It's just the way in which you can contact people. So, you can cold call a business or you can cold DM a human. That's pretty much the only difference. And then the content strategies are the same and the ad strategies are the same. So every acquisition system is B2C if you think about it. It's B2P, it's business to person. So they're all pretty similar. We've got Zarius here saying, greetings from Venezuela. Is that a Minecraft character in your profile picture, man? I think it is. Can I use my laptop for cold calling? Yeah, you can, man. There's loads of softwares that will let you do that. Just have a quick Google. How do you decide what questions to answer? I just read it and then I'll just decide whether or not I think it's critical or not, or relevant to everybody to a large degree. It's also whether or not I want to answer it, to be honest. Can you extrapolate the problems of one niche in one country to another? Yes, 100% you can. 100% for the most part. If you've already started working in niche before this program, should you go through the niche selection part so you can choose something that you know you like, or stick to the niche until you're in 10K a month? I would take your niche and put it through the niche selection exercise. It depends how far along the line you are, man. Like, if you're already at 10K a month, or if you're already at like 5 clients, then you should stick to it. But put the niche, if you haven't got a client yet, then put the niche in the niche selection process and just verify it. And if it works, then keep going. And if it doesn't, then pick something else. Lewis, looking rather swole here, mate. We've got a Gymshark athlete on our hands there, I reckon, boys. Big boy. How would you advise keeping your shadow self happy to curb the effects of self-sabotage, basically integrating your shadow? Don't worry about this, man. Just do the mindset module, and that's as much mindset stuff as you're going to need until you get to like 100K a month. I promise you, you do not need to worry about that for now. But I appreciate the intelligent question, but I think it's just a little, like, this is the thing about the shadow work stuff, is like, it's really cool and it's really helpful, but I got to like 100K a month, 250K a month before I even started looking at it, which indicates to me that it's not necessary to succeed, which is why I don't teach it in Imperium Academy. This is true. This is crazy. DVC Clip says, I'm 15 years old and I do social media management. I just hit my first 10K month last month, but I'm not sure where I should go from here. Dude, if that's true, fucking hats off to you, man. Buy easy, grow. It's a simple answer to that question, my friend. If you want to go further, then you can just do that. Or not. It's up to you. Fucking dickhead. We got James here. I know James won't be in this live stream, but he's actually a close friend of mine. What's the best niche? He knows it's going to wind me up. So I'm going to say Forex. What a dickhead. How would you sell enterprise level software to a corporation? I got no idea, man. I've never done that before, brother. I got no idea. Do the course. Liam's got it to a T here. This is just do the course, Ash H. We've got here. Looking all mysterious. Do the course. I fancy answering some questions on YouTube now. Let's do some YouTube questions, guys. Who's got a good question for me? Alexa says, where's this question? How do you notice problems worth solving? Do you actually think about them or notice problems naturally to you? I'll just like look at problems that are like constraint based. So I'm only trying to solve the biggest problem in the business. And the way you isolate the biggest problem is by looking at like the biggest constraint in the business. That's it. Will you ever go to the USA? Yeah, probably. Do you mean move? Because I might move there in the future. I don't know yet. I can't afford a school community. Any alternatives? Yeah, you can use Discord or Reddit, man. That's fine. How long do you think it will take the average person that goes all in on a program to reach 100K per month? Depends. I mean, dude, average. Dude, get into 100K a month, man. That takes some doing. Like, 10K a month. Like, if you are utterly obsessed and utterly dialed in and like completely dog-like focused, I'm talking you sacrifice everything, you do all the work, you're making hundreds of cold calls a day, you're doing outreach nonstop, you're showing up to sales calls, you're just on it like a fucking beast. You can get to 10K a month in like a year, maybe less. But getting to 100K a month, man, that shit is different, because 100K a month, it's not about you anymore. You've got to hire an operations person. You've got to hire a sales rep sometimes. You've got to hire appointment setters. You might have to learn how to run ads. You've got to learn how to create content. Like the skill gap between 10 and 100, that can take like 2 years to bridge. So like, but this is the thing, man, is we've got people that have been in Easy Grow and go from 0 to 100K a month in like a year. But that's not necessarily like the average result, right? And I'll be candid with you guys there. But the average person that goes all in, well, first of all, the average person doesn't go all in. The average person just quits. But if by all in you mean just utterly, completely fucking unbelievably obsessed, then like 2 to 3 years at minimum. And then going from 100K a month to $1 million a month, that's a fucking different story, guys. That one sucks. That one sucks. It's like, yeah. What was your fastest student to get to 10K a month, and what's the shortest time? I think we had someone do it in like 6 weeks from scratch. You'll be able to find that on our results page. But that's an Easy Grow student. I haven't got any Imperium Academy students that have done that yet. I'm really looking forward to this. Like 6 months from now, when we start getting posts in Imperium Academy of people being like, "Hey, yeah, so I've been doing this for like 6 months, and I'm now making like 10K a month." I'm looking forward to that. But yeah, there's some people that have done it in like 2 months. But yeah. How many sales calls should you make to stop being so stressed about them? Like 100? Couple of hundred? Bronco denied me access to the sales team before I scaled Maisie to 100K a month. I'm not sure what you mean by that, Alicia. You don't necessarily need a sales team to get to that point, but after that point, most certainly, man. I got to 20K a month thanks to your inspiration. What's the biggest challenge from here to 100K a month? Well, it's just figuring out how to 5 times the volume. Okay, so this is the thing. If you're doing 20K a month and you want to get to 100, all you've got to do is increase the input of your client acquisition volume by 5. That's it. But doing that is one thing, but building the infrastructure to handle that, and like the operation systems, you need a good client support system, you need a good client delivery system, you need an operations person to manage all the shit that comes with scaling. You're going to need like team members. Like the biggest challenge from 20 to 100K a month is hiring and basically replacing yourself. Yeah, for sure. Hiring, man. And that's why most people don't make it, is because they just get all tied up in themselves. So Alicia says, I applied for your offer, Charlie. That's nice, man. I appreciate that. Varen says, sales, not the issue, but fulfillment is. When do you know you have to hire? I'm making 2K a month offering funnel and offer building. Yeah, dude, if you're making 2K a month, you should not have to hire anyone. It's time to hire when you're for fulfillment specifically for what you're doing. It's time to hire for fulfillment when you don't have time to do sales calls anymore. So when you've got so much work on that you actually cannot properly build a sales pipeline because you're just so busy with work with client fulfillment, that's when it's time to hire for fulfillment. What's the best outreach method to book 200 calls a month? It depends on your niche, depends on everything, man. They all can get there if you're suited. So Tom says, is the new Easy Grow, is there new outreach systems compared to V1? Yeah, they're all updated, man. They're all updated and they're shiny and new. But the big focus has been AI and basically like AI-ifying all of the systems and the processes basically. And yeah, they're all way better. So I'd argue they're like 2 times better, to be honest. We spent a lot of time and a lot of money developing them. So would you say 25K a month is possible solo? Yeah, definitely. Definitely. My business partner, Bo, was making like 30K a month offering Facebook ads to gyms pretty much by himself. So we got Melvin here. How's it going, Melvin? I remember you, man. I think you were a setter for us for a while. How do you think through the decision of either starting a business or going into sales or going into marketing? Basically think through the decision of starting a business or getting a job and learning some skill as a beginner with zero knowledge. Well, you just decide what you want. Do you want to work in marketing? Do you want to be a salesperson, or do you want to start a business? If you want to start a business, you start a business. If you want to go into sales, you go into sales. And if you want to go into marketing, you go into marketing, man. If your end goal is to start a business and have a successful business, then you should probably do that first. But if you have an opportunity to learn sales for a year, then you should do that first. It's about opportunity, man. All right, guys. Well, look, I am going to call it a day here because I've got some shit to do and some meetings to run this evening. So I appreciate you guys showing up. It means the world to me that you guys come and hang out with me and just chill. I find it really enjoyable and I love it. So thank you, guys. And I will see you all back here on Tuesday next week. But for now, let's all get back to work, shall we, boys and ladies? I love you guys very much. You all fill my heart with so much joy and make me feel very happy. Some shanks to swing at the driving range. Yeah, I've really got to go and miss about 100 chips right now. So, all right, guys, love you lots. Take care. Peace.